Rodeo murder trial continues in Tom Green County. The world-ending solar eclipse came and went, and a crash on the loop shut down the Sherwood Way exit. I'm James Bellini, and this is Live. We'll get to the news in a minute, but first, LipChip provides your barn with superior microchipping technology. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Enjoy daily temperature checks, register for your next competition, and keep your Coggins health certificates all in one easy place. LipChip is based right here in San Angelo and is built by a family of horsemen rooted in West Texas. Now, on to the news. The April solar eclipse came and went despite the conspiracy theories circling. The astronomical event went off without a hitch and started around 12:30 and peaked at about 1:30. People flocked to West Central Texas to the path of totality, and residents of San Angelo did get a pretty good look at it through those eclipse glasses everyone was handing out. Go to San Angelo Live and watch our exclusive video. Have you downloaded the all-new San Angelo Live mobile app yet? It's available on the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, so all iPhone and Android users can get the latest news stories delivered directly to their phones. That's the all-new San Angelo Live mobile app available now. A crash on the loop shut down the Sherwood Way exit behind Desert Shadows next to Sunset Mall. A Chrysler Pacifica was rear-ended by a Ford F-250, but the driver of the Chrysler van said that a black Chevy Tahoe failed to yield, which caused the scene. Well, that Chevy actually had a camera, so after that footage is reviewed, citations could be in order. The Rodeo murder trial continued this week at the Tom Green County Courthouse, and Bryce Rudicel's girlfriend even took the stand. Apparently the military members were dancing on the dance floor and bumped into Vera, who hurled homophobic slurs at the Marines, and that apparently started the fight. It was eventually broken up by security, but continued outside where Vera allegedly stabbed Rudicel to death in the parking lot. Testimony will continue on Tuesday. Into weather, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for West Central Texas. Right now it's 86 degrees with a high of 87 and a low of 58. Thunderstorms could start tonight with 20% chance to 60% chance and continue tomorrow where we have a 70% chance that drops to a 40%. The high tomorrow drops to 78 and the low will be at 48 overnight where there's a 50% chance of storms. On Wednesday, wind should pick up with showers and a high of 68, and then Wednesday night the temperature drops to about 45 and conditions should clear up the rest of the week. When we come back, Ryan Chadwick talks ASU softball in front of Lakeview Stadium. Then police chief candidate Mike Hernandez made the trip out to the San Angelo Live Ford operating base for an on-location interview. But first, a word from the Bass Bunch.
2024 means savings galore at Jim Bass Nissan. Why not drive off our lot in a new 2024 Nissan Frontier, priced right at just $33,999. While you're here, be sure to ask about 2.9% APR financing. This truck offers a mid-size truck with full-size truck capabilities. Hurry, these are limited offers, and you can only get these deals at Jim Bass Nissan at the corner of Houston Hart at Arden Road or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
The Angelo State Round Bells softball team hosted the Cameron Aggies over the weekend out at Meyer Field here in San Angelo. The Bells took both games of the doubleheader on Friday before winning Saturday's game on a walk-off in the bottom of the 7th inning. It was senior weekend in San Angelo, and all of Angelo State's seniors contributed in the 3 victories. Here's Angelo State's head coach Travis Scott on his seniors after their performance this weekend. Let's take a look.
It's fun, but Tori had a massive, that was her best outing of the season yesterday, and luckily it happened for her on senior day, so that was very rewarding. That's the one thing, our 4 seniors all had great weekends. Keely, had the lead off, or not the lead off, but had the first RBI of the game, got us on the board in the first inning of game 1, and then hit the massive home run in game 2, and then picked off a critical runner in a 0-0 game in game 3, picked her off a first, and Katie Burris got a lot of playing time this weekend, found her way on base with some hit-by pitches. Ashton Durner probably had the best weekend of her career. I think she ended up about 5 for 7 with a home run and a couple stolen bases and the game-winning run in game 2. And then Tori that goes out and throws a complete game shutout. So maybe tomorrow and Wednesday needs to be senior day again. I don't know, we may be senior day every week, every game.
The Bells have a quick turnaround as they host their final home series of the 2024 season beginning on Tuesday against Texas A&M International. It will be a 3-game Lone Star Conference series with the first pitch of Game 1 scheduled for 4 p.m. on Tuesday. Now, we are also here on location at the San Angelo Rodeo with historic Lakeview Stadium behind me, and of course it was ASU Day over the weekend, so we have Angelo state flags behind us. And we will be out here all week, so for all the sports coverage in and around the Concho Valley and beyond, be sure to check in every day at sanangelolive.com/news/sports.
Gross.
Deep down, your rugs are dirtier than they look. Carpet Tech safely cleans all types of rugs, killing germs and removing spots and odors. Right now, get 15% off rug cleaning from Carpet Tech. Call or schedule online at carpettech.com.
If your home is in a red, call Carpet Tech, yeah.
Hey, this is Joe Hyde. We're at the San Angelo Rodeo Fairgrounds. This is in our forward operating base, and I'm with a very special guest today, Mike Hernandez, who is a lieutenant on the San Angelo Police Department. But in San Angelo, we elect our police chief, and Mr. Hernandez, or Lieutenant Hernandez, is one of the candidates. There's 3 candidates running, and he agreed to come out here, all the way out here to the rodeo and talk to us.
And work on my tan.
Work on your tan. Well, we've known each other a long time. I can remember one incident that really stands out in my mind that kind of defines our relationship. And you had responded to an incident at the San Angelo Regional Airport at Mathis Field at the terminal building, where there was a report that an officer was down, and what it was someone, Bruce Burkett, who's now our GOP chair. He was the police officer in charge of the airport, and I guess a vagrant who stayed there overnight had gotten in an altercation with him and knocked him over, and we were worried about him. And we got to talking about your knee surgery and health and men and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that really stands out with me, you said the key to a man staying alive is core flexibility. And because we were talking about you having to rehab your knee.
Yes,
remember
sir.
that?
Yes, sir.
And I was talking about getting too fat and all that kind of stuff. And it was after that I got into a real pretty strenuous fitness routine. I said, I'm going to have some core flexibility. And to this day, that was probably 6 years ago. To this day, that's all I talk about is core flexibility. How important is fitness to you?
Well, especially in my line of work, it's very important. Being a Marine, when I went to the Marine Corps out of high school, I was 244 with a 40-inch waist. And I've been able to maintain my weight unless I was in narcotics, if you will.
Well, you had to get a little chubby to
well,
fit in?
I wouldn't say that. You just, the hours are long, and the shift is different, the stress is different. But I sort of got off track during my about 5 years in narcotics. But I've been able to maintain about 5'9", 190 and stay healthy and keep my abs tight because of a fall I took in the Marine Corps that Dr. Walentinowicz at Camp Lejeune Naval Hospital said, keep your abs tight and your core tight, and it'll help you as far as longevity is concerned. And so I never forgot it.
Meaning you're going to live forever.
Well, I don't know about forever, but if your core is strong, then you're strong.
Yeah. All right, so the campaign probably has thrown you off a little bit. I remember when I was in the campaign, it was terrible because you didn't know how many doors to knock on and all that kind of stuff. Is the stress of the campaign, are you able to keep up your fitness regimen?
So I was up at 3:19 this morning getting my workout in and my 27.5 miles in in my hours. So I've been able to maintain.
Or how many miles?
27.5.
In one day?
In 1 hour. Yes, sir.
Oh, what are you doing, bicycling or something?
That's a stationary right after my workout.
I got you.
I do 2 body parts when I work out and then a bike ride.
So you don't have a leg day?
No, yesterday was leg day. Yeah.
All right, let's get into the campaign stuff. I'm interested in some of the campaign mechanics. I don't know, a couple of days, maybe Friday, I can't remember. They just released the campaign finance reports, and you broke the ceiling, over $60,000 raised for this campaign.
We're pretty humbled and appreciative to everyone that's just supporting us in just so many ways. And it's not just financially. We've gotten so many folks out there that are going door to door, that are putting out signs, that are fixing signs, that are standing up signs. And I can't even begin to tell you, it's just humbling about the amount of support, the amount of encouragement, people texting, calling, what can we do? It's just humbling.
I don't think you're exaggerating, because when you look at the list, the pages and pages of donors, I mean, you got a few hundred in there. That's a pretty broad-based set of support. But you know, $61,000 is significant in that in previous citywide, countywide races. I mean, I think for county judge, I think the top guy was probably 35,000, maybe 40. Andrew Graves ran for county court at law. He was the master fundraiser of 2022. You blew him away. You probably about double what he did.
Oh wow!
And then of course your opponent is your biggest. You're the guy. I guess I don't know if he's running second or not, because we haven't done a poll recently. But Travis Griffith, your opponent, raised what, about 38,000?
Yes, sir. And
not as many donors. So that's a big haul. That's a big haul.
Yeah, and it just speaks volumes about who's supporting, and it just shows that the chief of police matters to people of San Angelo, and it's very important. Of course, it's coming up. Early voting starts 4/22, and the actual day is May 4th. But I highly recommend you go early, because that Saturday is going to come, and some folks are just not going to want to go to the polls thinking he's got it. But we need every vote.
A lot of people say that San Angelo's crazy for continuing to elect its police chief, and I disagree. And I think there's maybe Coleman elects their police chief still.
Nobody else. It's just us. Yes, sir. Single. We're the last standing.
Okay. So you always hear these calls every year, and we need to appoint a police chief. We're missing out on the best selection of police chiefs because we elect them. And obviously, to get elected, you got to be a San Angelo resident and those kinds of things. So we're limiting our pool. I disagree with the assessment we need an appointed chief. I used to be with the appointed chief thing, but now, post BLM riots and COVID and all the crap that we went through, we saw like Minneapolis, surrender a police station. Those kinds of things happen, and it's because these appointed chiefs are trying to be too politically correct, and they can't stand for their departments. So I'm just going to throw this out there. I think that we need to continue to elect a police chief here in San Angelo, Texas. I think big cities ought to elect their police chief, because I think the police chief needs some political capital to take care of the people they're under. Do you agree or disagree?
What I'm going to say is this is what I know that's facts.
Okay.
The average tenure of an appointed chief is 3 years.
Right.
The sheriffs all across the country are elected, and they get the job done. What I learned at the FBI National Academy in 2014 when I went to rub elbows with 1%ers, command staff level people from around the world, 27 countries, 47 states represented, is that the same issues that San Angelo, Texas has are the same issues that NYPD, LAPD, Seoul, Korea have.
Seoul, Korea.
And yes, sir. And so I know just from being in those classes with those men and women from around the world, and them walking up after class and or during class when a question was asked of us, and I would answer, and I'll never forget, how did you put that program together? And what I'm talking about is I did a spinoff of the Citizens Police Academy, where we did a week-long class for spouses of officers for what they may go through in reference to PTSD issues. And I invited chaplains, I invited psychologists, I invited officers that had been in traumatic situations with the loss of a child on scene, or a firefight, a homicide, whatever it was, and invited our spouses, because I obviously was one of those veterans that had been there and done that. And with those 16 inaugural spouses, it was such a hit that they wanted to be involved in the next one. And that was a one and done class where the former administration chose not to do it again. And it's something that if I should take office, I want to bring back, so that the spouses know how to deal with their spouse when they come home and they find out that something happened at work because the media says so.
Right.
And yet when they ask them what's going on, they say nothing.
Right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Obviously, the San Angelo Police Department, we elect our police chief. We elected a police chief named Tim Vasquez for 12 years. He was elected in 04, re-elected in 08, re-elected in 12, and today he's in federal prison for bribery. What lesson did that teach you? You were in the SWAT. You weren't necessarily under, but you were working the SWAT team back then. You ran against him in 16. What lesson did the experience of having all that stuff happen to Vasquez teach you, and how do you think the department took it?
Well, first of all, sir, you stand corrected because I was under him. He was the chief of police.
Right.
I was a SWAT team leader. He appointed me to that position, and I had been on the team at the time he took office, just about the longest on the team, and so I was a sergeant. And he asked me the day after he took office if I was willing to take on the team. And I absolutely said yes, because I felt I was the best qualified. I was actually the team leader 10 of my 20 years, and all 10 years were under his guidance. Mm-hmm. And so with that being said, when I came home from the FBI National Academy is when
this was in 2014.
Right. Yes, sir. And I started to find out some things that we might need to go a different direction, if you will. That's when I decided to put my name in the hat, and if people want to look back at those, whatever may be out there on the internet, when I ran in 16, I said we need a change. Mm-hmm. And then when there was a runoff and I wasn't in it, I asked those that supported me to support Chief Carter, and they did by the numbers, and I was thankful for that. So I've learned a lot. What I do know is that during this campaign, of course, politics is ugly. Things mm-hmm. are said, right. And there are those that would say, and it's out there. You can find it. You can look at some of the responses. Some of the folks not being so kind
on social media.
On social media,
right.
They've said, "We've already tried that." The other guy's in prison now. I guess saying that I'm going to be another Tim Vasquez.
Because you're both Hispanic, Hispanic names?
That's just exactly what they said. And so what I know is I'm not Tim Vasquez. I have said this many a time. I arrested my brother for a bank robbery. I got my dad arrested for aggravated sexual assault of a child. I have a cousin on the run in Mexico for a large amount of dope on a narcotic sting that DPS conducted. And he won't come back because I'll arrest him. My integrity speaks for itself. And integrity is just everything to me, of even when nobody is watching, to do the right thing. And what the biggest difference between us is he took office as a young sergeant, didn't have command staff, command divisions under his belt.
Never really had to handle some of the really tougher situations
Correct.
With personnel and things like that.
Yes, sir. And I've been doing this for over 20 years as far as supervisory, but 13 years as a lieutenant and a division commander of community service of.
And you've run it impeccably. I mean, I don't worry about Mike Hernandez out there guarding the streets. I mean, even when you were doing the late night shifts and stuff like that, because I'd run into you.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, I didn't. I mean, heck, you saved my life at the airport. But anyway,
well, I've always tried to lead by example, and I don't ask my troops to do anything I'm not willing to do, and that's the biggest difference. Is that I just it's something I grew up with. It's something that my mom instilled in me. And I'm a man of faith, and I just have a belief that I hope that everyone knows. Nobody's immune from the attacks, obviously. The enemy's always attacking, and you got to wear your full armor every day, and just stay in your lane, look ahead, and take care of the job, and push through those times when the struggles are real.
Right. All right, so I'm a news media guy. Didn't really elect myself to do this, but I just became one, I guess, because I'm the last one standing. And obviously a big part of our job is to deal with the police and the fire department, because you have the information, we don't, right?
Yes, sir.
So, not necessarily car crashes, but major investigations, like, you have a murder or a significant assault where there's terrible bodily injury. It's important for us to get the information out, because here's our problem. Everyone sees 12 cop cars down at the end of their street. They want to know what's going on. They want to know now. So what would be your view on First Amendment issues like freedom of the press, freedom of information, things like that out of the police department?
Well, there's two sides to this, right?
Right.
You know how this works. If I wanted to hang on something as far as the investigation was concerned, and we don't want to taint the case, then we have, I believe it's a certain amount of time here with 10 days. Do you know what the days are here in the city?
Yeah.
And then if I want to postpone that even longer, then I'll defer you to the Attorney General for 45 more days, right? And so I don't want to taint a case. And I do want to get you the information because I do believe that the media should put the information out because I want to be as transparent as we can without tainting the case. And so you'll get the basics from us. Not that you don't even have your own style about you now that you've learned. And you know what's funny about this, Joe, is that at the FBI National Academy, when I was going to the School for Public Information, they talked about your type of news for the on the spot, that y'all might even beat us to the scene because you had somebody out on the street, which you have. And I've been there telling your reporter, step back across the street, across the line. This is a crime scene, things of that nature. And we've always got along. And I'm willing to give what we can, but not all of it. Not initially.
Yeah, the biggest problem I've had over the years, well, obviously you have different PIOs with the police department. I've been doing this for 10 years. Is when you start getting the perception that they're favoring one news media organization over the other, unless they're favoring me, of course. I'll never complain.
Right.
But seriously, the fairness of it, because we're all in a competitive situation, and that's generally the big problem. I know that when for example, we backed off on minor car accidents and stuff like that. We're reporting them to tell you that Sherwood Way shut down, right? We don't care about who's in the car accident. We do care it's a blue Nissan Sentra versus a F-350. I mean, we'll identify the cars. We don't really care about the people. The only time we care about the people is when you're arresting that person, or they're unfortunately killed in the accident. So that's where I look at it. We try to keep as much. I mean, everyone. I could be in a wreck tomorrow, and I'll be on San Angelo Live. In fact, I got a pretty funny story about that. But anyway.
Yeah.
But
so my mission statement, should I take this office and people should choose to go with me, is, and I hope it speaks to your question, that it will be serving all who call through pride, professionalism, and purpose. And I think that when I say, and the officers can repeat verbatim, of serving all who call, it doesn't matter who it is, that you talked about fairness. It should be fair. And you've already sort of got the jump on them regardless. Because if it's the paper, well, it's not coming out till tomorrow in the paper.
Well, the paper it's not going to come out.
It's
not going to come out in the paper.
If it's the 5 o'clock news, well, it's not going to come out till 5 o'clock. And so you guys are already in a unique position because of the way that you report.
Right.
And so, I don't know what to tell you. It's going to be as fair as we can make it. We're not going to show favoritism. We'll call all to the and not to the scene, because that's something I learned at the school. You pull the media away from the scene. Now, you may have a second person, say a photographer over there, but the reporter is going to need to come to either my administration or my public information officer to give the information that we're willing to give right then and there. And if you recall, the last administration on a shooting at Walmart North,
he went on the scene.
Went to the scene and gave up information on the wrong business and the wrong type of police car that was involved in the wreck initially, because they're wanting the information right now, and it was wrong.
Yeah, and we've heard scanner traffic or whatever, where they'll announce something that we know. I always tell them, don't put that in there because that's going to be wrong. They're looking for I remember one of them, they were looking for an avalanche. I said, I guarantee you it's not an avalanche.
And then because you're listening, we tell our officers, go to another channel.
Yeah, you guys play musical channels on us. Have quick. In the military we had the have quick radios that skip to different radio frequencies constantly. But anyway, I always enjoy watching the police department operate, and I think it's important for the people to know too, because before we came around, people thought that all policemen did was sit in the donut coffee shops drinking coffee and staring at their computers, which is not true.
No,
not
at all.
There's a lot of work going on at all hours.
We have a lot of great officers in this department that are doing a great job, especially being 16 short. I'm 4 short in the Criminal Investigation Division. I'm very proud of our department and how they get things done. We make it happen, and in that platform, or my goals, is it leads to better recruitment and retention. They want to work here. They don't want to work down the road. And if we can meet in the middle with city government and then show the citizens we're a better product and that they support us, well, it's not going to be able to be helped except for the officers to get what they are, what I believe they merit.
Right, as far as pay goes,
Yes,
benefits, and things like
so
that.
that we are not a stepping stone to other agencies anymore.
Like the DPS.
Correct.
Right. So you're going to try a retention recruitment kind of program where you build around.
This is the place they'll want to work because they're seeing their administration lead by example.
Right. When you're knocking on doors, what are the issues you're hearing from people? What's their biggest concern about? Probably petty crime is what my bet would be.
Actually, a lot of times ask about the border.
Really?
Ask about SB4, and I just, of course, I'll answer their questions best I can.
SB4 is the Texas legislature enacted, or they passed a law. The governor signed it that allows, I guess, statewide law enforcement organizations to arrest people for being illegal migrants.
Correct. And I just answered this question this morning that, we're 16 short, and we're going from call to call to call. The officers are not going to have time to just approach people, and that's what folks are concerned about. That's one of the biggest concerns. Are we just going to start walking up to folks and identifying them and telling them to show us their credentials?
Another reason why I've heard police departments don't want to enforce this because a lot of times an illegal migrant might be able to inform you about a crime. So you're going to make them mad, and they won't talk to the police, won't trust the police. They won't report crime.
Oh, I don't know. When I was in narcotics for about 6 years, I called my confidential informants cooperating individuals, and I was successful.
Didn't matter what nationality?
Didn't matter. Matter. Gift of the gap.
So basically, it's how good the police investigator is as far as getting...
Yeah, I mean, you have good ones that can definitely get the best work by simply, all they ask is that nobody ever find out. And so I would always just tell the bad guys that I know everything.
Even though you don't?
No, I don't. It takes a team.
Yeah.
And that's what I've always been successful at in the divisions that I've commanded, because I led by example. And the folks under my tutelage at that time want to work for me. A lot of these young SWAT guys today never worked with me on SWAT. I've been their incident commander for the last 8 years. Knock on wood, we've been successful as me being our critical incident commander these last almost 8 years.
When you talk about incident commanders and scenes, what happens is people see cops everywhere and they're a little fearful. They don't know what the heck's going on. One of the things that I think, I'm never want to be too critical of Frank Carter, okay? But one of the things Frank Carter doesn't like to do is get out in front and tell the people what's going on, or to, I guess, say, you have a murder at Walmart or something like that. Get out there in front of it and say, look, this was a one-off kind of thing. This is not a trend. Those kinds of things. So a lot of times you see these things happening, and you can almost feel like the pride of the community deflates a little because no one got out there in front of it and addressed it. How do you feel about doing something like that?
So I have no problems with getting in front of the community. I think there's a time and place for the chief, especially if there's an officer-involved shooting. It should be the chief.
Right.
But at the school that I went to, public information officer has that position for a reason.
Right.
Now, the chief and the command staff, if you will, and even the criminal investigation division commander should have an absolute say about what's being released to the media. But they should get out there in front. They meet with you guys at scenes at a certain location that's safe to do so. As soon as we can, we should be putting that out, and I have no problems with that. But you're right. Chief Carter likes to stay in the background. He allows his people to do the job, and I think we're doing it. I think that when folks want to see him, that it warrants it. And we try to advise him. Chief, you need to be the one. Get out there.
Right. You've done that before. You said, Chief Carter,
yeah,
you need to be in front on this one.
I sure have. Yes, sir.
Well, this is Lieutenant Mike Hernandez. He's running for San Angelo Police Chief. We are the only town in Texas that elects their police chief. The election day is May 4th. Tell me when early voting starts.
April 22nd.
April 22nd.
Through the 30th.
I really appreciate you coming on and talking. I asked some hard questions.
You did.
I get criticized for being too soft on candidates. Anyway, I'm Joe Hyde. Back to you guys.
It's hard to believe how reckless some people can be and how hard they fight against real victims. You need a partner who consistently beats the giants and who will never, ever flinch.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo.
Thanks for watching the Live Daily News Show, the only locally owned live news show in the Concho Valley. Go follow San Angelo Live on all the social media platforms you can and watch our exclusive rodeo coverage only on San Angelo Live. Thanks again, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.